Thank you all for being here. This is the 25th meeting of our Mindfulness Initiative Friday morning sessions. So I'm very glad to have you with me and to continue sharing. Today's poem is the third stanza of a longer poem by John Keats. It is the great To Autumn. So again, this is just the third stanza, the third strophe. To Autumn. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft, the red breast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Just one more time. The third strophe of John Keats's To Autumn. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft, the red breast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Highly memorizable poem. Let's sit with this today. I'm going to do my best to give credit where credit is due, where greatness is due. Just taking that comfortable seat, feeling your feet flat on the floor. Bringing your attention back into your body. Softening the muscles of your face. And then softening them again. Choosing that again. Lengthening the neck and letting the shoulders relax and drop. Then we can deepen the breath a little bit. To a count of 4, going in. A count of 6, if you're able to, going out. And then just turn your hands up on your lap. Get into that position of allowing. However you feel that, position of receiving. As they say in centering prayer, a position of consent. We've been talking about being inside the tree of the body and also stepping back from it, seeing it in its gorgeous changing of leaves, watching what the wind does to it. Seeing it in its most beautiful autumn phases. And then choosing that relaxation response again, softening the face, lengthening the neck a little. Letting the shoulders drop. Aligning with the awareness that's always there, ready to be felt. Ready to be received open-handedly. just opening the door of the heart as I read the poem again. Third strophe of To Autumn by John Keats. Where are the songs of spring? Ay, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies, and full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. I realized that after 25 of these sessions, I haven't talked about Emily Dickinson, and I haven't talked about Keats. I haven't talked about Frost, all poets that are extremely important to me. And I think I've held off until I felt like I was ready to share what I experience as real depth and real wisdom coming from these poets. Keats is a special one because he was 25 when he died. This poem was written 200 years ago. He was dying of tuberculosis, and at the end of his life, he traveled to Rome and stayed in a 3-story brownstone building right next to the Spanish Steps that you can still visit. It's called the Keats Shelley House. And you can look out the little window that he looked out onto the Spanish stairs from. And there's a Bernini sculpture called The Ugly Boat, which is a fountain, and it's a sinking ship with water pouring out of the portholes of the boat. And I really equate that sinking ship with the image of autumn in this poem, because it's a boat that's going down, but it's caught in this moment of going down, and the water is streaming out, and it's actually a very beautiful sculpture. Bernini's attempt to create something beautiful out of a failure, out of the body's inevitable failures, and the world's dying and coming to life again, falling and rising and falling and rising, like inhaling and exhaling. So this is the inhale at the moment of exhale. This is autumn. But I've loved Keats all my life. I read him first as an undergraduate when I identified with his youth. And now I read him as a middle-aged man. And I see the incredible power of his skill for somebody so young. He was 25 when he died. I think of him the way James Wright talked of Georg Trakl, who was also a very young man when he died in World War I. James Wright called Trakl father of my sound and my poor son. And that's Keats for me, father of my sound and my poor son. I've seen his life mask at Hampstead Heath, and I've seen his death mask in Rome. In Rome, I'll just say one more thing about his death in Rome, because I think it's really significant here. He didn't want his name on his tombstone, and many of you know this story if you studied with Stanley Plumley. Instead of having his name on his tombstone, he was buried in the Protestant graveyard in Rome. It's written, "Here lies a young English poet whose name was writ on water." It's a total embrace of the impermanence of names, the impermanence of poems, the impermanence of successes, and also failures. So his life and his death, even as a young man, when we're predisposed to grasping at life, was a full embodiment of his idea of negative capability, which he described as the ability to be among uncertainties without any irritating grasping toward logic or reason. And you hear the word grasping in there, which is the source of all suffering in Buddhism. It's the second noble truth. This poem does something very special because it fills its description of spring with allusions to music. He says in the second line, "Thou hast thy music too." And then you hear the line, "Then in a wailful choir, the small gnats mourn." And you hear in the line, "Hedge crickets sing." And now with treble soft. And then you hear in the line too, "And gathering swallows twitter in the skies." I love to quote this line, "Then in a wailful choir, the small gnats mourn," because what he's doing is bouncing the choir of gnats from 1820 into the present moment, because he's creating the sounds of the gnats with the assonance in that line. "Then in a wailful choir, the small gnats mourn." So I get a bunch of undergraduates to sit around saying this line several times over. "Then in a wailful choir, the small gnats mourn." And suddenly we're in 1821, hearing these small gnats, and we're really in the presence of them. And we hear the music that's behind this falling down of things that we call autumn. I also love that he uses the thou to speak to autumn because it's reminiscent of Martin Buber. And there's the it and there's the ow, the thou. The it is wanting something back from the other. The thou is seeing them and knowing them as the presence of God and asking nothing of them, which is really the last point that I wanted to make about the poem. Where are the songs of spring? Where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. What he's done here is suspended his opinions about autumn and the dying of things, and instead has chosen again to experience autumn as a musical composition. We hear it in the strophe so strongly, and he even tells us that this is how he's positioned himself, even in a moment when he's experiencing it in his own body. The whole poem, To Autumn, is filled with allusions to his death by tuberculosis, things bubbling up and gorged and falling out and falling over. And yet in the final strophe of the poem, he's positioned himself into this place of suspending his opinion about it, the way that we can suspend our opinions about a cacophony or a moment of softness in music. It's all music. It's all beauty. And it reminds me of a poem by the third patriarch of Zen. And the line from the poem goes, "The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences." Maybe it's impossible in life all the time, but we can experience the great way when we step back from our preferences. And that's what Keats is doing here. So this is once more To Autumn. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the red breast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. So let's sit back, feet flat, feeling your feet on the ground. Lengthening the neck, softening the shoulders. Softening the face. And then for me, the hardest place to find that softening is here in the heart. I'm so defended there. Can you see it all as music? Can you hear it as music? Deepening the breath again. Meditation is an opportunity to just suspend your opinions and your preferences. Sitting in traffic on 495 and suddenly all those red lights just light up for miles in front of you. And you just know, I don't want this. And thou hast thy music too. Rilke speaks about Van Gogh in this way. He wrote a letter to his wife, Clara, saying, looking at Van Gogh, he saw that he shows us nothing. He has it. In other words, he doesn't express his opinions about the people in the fields or the world. The paintings are just an embodiment of the incredible cacophony, the gathering together. able to step back is the question, and suspend your opinion about something that is keeping you up. Are you able to open up the heart and just let that opinion pass through, that wanting this or not wanting that, even if in 10 minutes of meditation? And I look at it like Keats looks at autumn and say, "Thou hast thy music too. Thou hast thy music too." The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for anything. Wow. That's the third Zen patriarch. And here's Keats one more time. From To Autumn. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue, then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies, and full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft, the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Fantastic. Thank you all so much. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Thanks, David. Thanks so much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Laura. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thanks, Susan.